Now, joining us from Cincinnati, Ohio, Nancy Hagan of Effective Day works with entrepreneurs and business professionals to help them gain an hour a day or more and be more focused, organized, and productive. Nancy says, "I'm not one of those people who was born organized." She started her business over 10 years ago after solving her own problems, and she realized she loved to do it and could help others doing the same. She is a certified productivity specialist and university certified executive coach with over 20 years business experience. Nancy has taught productivity classes at Miami University and is a member of the National Association of Professional Organizers. Nancy is dedicated to helping business leaders with simple yet powerful systems that quickly impact efficiency, productivity, and profitability, and to freeing you to do what you do best. I will also paste Nancy's contact information into the chat section so that you can give her a call or an email should you need her for professional one-on-one time to help you gain an hour a day. Nancy, welcome, and thanks for being with us today.
Great. Thanks, Janet. I'm glad you're all here. That shows you're really serious about improving your level of organization and productivity. So thanks for taking time. And I'm going to go ahead and sign in. You're probably looking at the home screen right now. And I'll sign in on Paper Tiger so you'll see, oh, you know what? It remembered I was signed in. So I had already signed in, and you can check a little box that says remember me for 7 days on this computer, which is nice, so you don't have to sign in every time if you don't want to. You can do it either way. But before we talk about, before I go into any detail here, well, actually, no, let's do. We're already jumped in, so I think we'll just go for it. And I always like to tell people that I wasn't one of those people who was born organized, because it just shows that these skills can be learned. And in fact, I would say it's not even particularly a skill. It's having the right tools. J. Edwards Deming, the guy who is known for, he was an American business consultant, but he's the one who really helped Japan become a manufacturing powerhouse and increase their productivity tremendously. And they practically worship the man. He's gone now, but he was greatly revered for what he did. But one of his observations is that 96% of all failures are not the response, it's not the result of the people, it's the result of the system. So his point was, if you put the right systems in place that are that people can use easily and well, then they're going to be successful. And so I've found that to be so true. I've had clients who thought, oh, I'm just not the kind of person who can be organized, or I just don't have that organizing chip, as one of them put it. And once we got to the end of the day, when we had worked on getting Paper Tiger set up and all their files, they were like, oh my gosh, this is really easy. I can do this. So, and then actually the same client, I'm thinking of one in particular at the moment, I ran into at a store a couple of years later, and she said, oh yeah, everything's, I mean, and I do communicate some in between time, but she said, oh, everything's working great and everything has stayed, you know, just in order. I can find things and all of that. So I think you couldn't have a better testimonial than that, that it's easy to use and things are easy to find, and your office is under control, which means your mind is under control too. Let's see. So we're already signed in, and why use Paper Tiger? I mean, there are a variety of filing systems that exist in the world, I guess. But once I found Paper Tiger, I never looked back. And why do I love it so much? One is, once you set up your files, you never have to do it again. You know, one thing that keeps us from filing is we think, oh, I don't have, you know, a certain kind of folder, or I don't have time to set up files and all of that. Paper Tiger takes away all those problems, because once you set up the files, and I'll show you how in a little bit, you will never have to do it again. So even if you aren't using something anymore and you empty that file, it's just ready to use the next time. And I'll show you some of those features in a little more detail. And also, you might think, well, you know, everything is so electronic, maybe I don't need Paper Tiger. And I have two answers for that. One is, since computers have been a dominant force in the office, there's actually 50% more paper. It may be higher than that now. That's probably an old statistic. But the idea is paper isn't going away anytime soon. And, you know, we all love to hit the print button. And there's so much more information than there ever was. So for all those reasons, plus there are certain things that just have to be kept in hard copy, contracts and you know, a lot of legal documents, and there's just a variety of things where you need the actual originals for. And sometimes it's just easier to read things in that form than on the screen. So for many reasons, we need Paper Tiger physically. Then the other side of that is we're going to take a look later on at finding things. Paper Tiger will help you find things electronically also. So what is Paper Tiger? Now some of you, I think most of you are somewhat familiar with Paper Tiger, but there are some people who have Paper Tiger, but they haven't really gotten into using it because it seems kind of overwhelming, and they're not, I mean, you know, the volume of things they have to do in their office seems overwhelming. I remember when I first started using Paper Tiger, you know, I had lots of things sitting around that needed to be filed, and so I did it by myself, and I just sat there, just did a little at a time. You know, I set up, you know, my first few files and started putting things in, and once I started doing it, I think that's part of it, just actually jumping in and doing it, you just see how easy it is. It's much easier than it seems. And that leads me into why is it called Paper Tiger? Because Paper Tiger, if you look at the definition of that word, I think it's on Wikipedia, but even before Wikipedia, it was known as a term, and that is something that looks very scary like a tiger, but it really isn't. It's very powerless and very weak. So, you know, there might be a picture of a tiger on a piece of paper, and it looks so ferocious, but you know you can just take your finger and get rid of it, and it's not going to hurt you. So that's why Paper Tiger is so applicable to the situations that we're looking at in our offices today, because it seems like an overwhelming task, but it really isn't once you have the right system to handle it. So you can tame the tiger if you have the right system. Another bit of good news that I'm going to give you before we actually get into looking at how Paper Tiger works is that you don't have to worry about a huge backlog. I mean, everybody typically, when they're getting ready to use Paper Tiger, has some backlog, but you don't have to feel that you have to put everything in, because 80% of what we keep we never use. And there have been studies done by SLT, the Pendaflex people, and other organizations and businesses have done studies on how people use, especially office supply companies and others, on how we use things in the office. And this 80-20 rule, as it's sometimes called the Pareto principle, but it's amazing how often and how many parts of our lives it's true. And it's not always 80-20 that exact. It could be, you know, 75-25. It could be a 90-10 ratio. But the idea of it is that we get most of our good results from a fairly small number of things that we do or things that we have. Now, to just think of some applications for that, think of the clothes you wear. You probably have 20% of your clothes that you wear 80% of the time because they're your favorites, they're comfortable, you get compliments on them, they can fit a variety of situations for whatever reason. You use a fairly small percentage of your clothes a large percentage of the time. Same thing with meals. If you cook or prepare meals at home, you probably have a few things that you, and even if you cook a lot, which I used to when my family was growing up, and I was always trying new recipes and cooking and everything, but then there's always those few recipes that you come back to over and over. So just to give you some ideas. Oh, also, if you're in business, which I think most of you are on this call, typically 80% of your profits come from 20% of your clients. So you have those few really good clients that continue to give you a large percentage of your income and your profits. And so just to give you an idea, well, the same thing is true of the papers that we keep. We keep all these papers because we think, well, we may need them sometime, and that's fine as long as you've got the space and everything. But what we actually find is that most of them we don't use. And so what I suggest for people that makes it so much easier is that you start with the current things. Start with what's on your desk right now or close by, usually within arm's reach. Those are the things that are probably most important in your life. Start with those things and set up Paper Tiger and your systems that are going to give you places for new things as they come in. So then you'll start with today and you'll go forward, and that will make it much easier. Now, what about all those other things? Well, in a lot of cases, I suggest just boxing them up. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about how to sort them, but the general idea is to just put them in a box, you know, in a closet or a corner or something to get them out of the way so they're not distracting you or taking up space. And then if you need them, you can always go back and find them just as easily as you could have before in most cases. What was I going to tell you about that? Oh, about the sorting process. So I would suggest, I call it playing high-low. You want to separate your high priority things that are really important from the things that, well, I may need it someday, but who knows when or if. And the way you can sort those is, I use the acronym FAST. F for file, and that's what we're going to do in Paper Tiger, and that's typically mostly reference stuff. Then there's A for action, and again, we can set that up in Paper Tiger. Those are the files that you are using the most frequently. They're probably current projects or things that ongoing things that you access quite a bit. So you're going to want to have those closer to you. And then S stands for schedule, because sometimes something comes across your desk or comes to your attention and you're not in a position to do it right now, but you know maybe Friday you're going to have some time in the office, or you know, sometime in particular that you just have to plan to do it. So you're either going to file it, you're going to act on it, you're going to schedule it, and that could be on a calendar or it could be in your tickler file. So I'm going to digress a little bit and talk about your tickler file. That used to be a standard thing in most offices, and then I think a combination of computers and fewer administrative assistants and everything, a tickler file often went by the wayside. But it's such an important tool. It's important in many regards. Well, what it is 43 files. It's one file for every month of the year. So that would be 12, January through December, and then one file for each day of the month, which would be 1 through 31. Now, of course, there's a few months that don't use all those, but that's no problem. So you would set up those files, and I always suggest putting the current day at the front so that you're always rotating. You're going to, you know, tomorrow when you come in, you'll take out, today is the 25th, so you'll see if there's anything left in that file and move it to the back so that you have the 26th up in front and you see what's in your tickler file then. And I'm going to take a couple minutes to talk about the tickler file because I think it's such an important tool to use along with Paper Tiger, and so many people find it really helpful. It's also helpful for keeping your desk clear. Of course, Paper Tiger does the most in keeping your desk clear, but sometimes in fact, most of the time, the reason we leave things out is because we don't want to forget about them. So if you have something, maybe you have a meeting tomorrow, or you have maybe something that is due that has to be, you have to follow up with somebody tomorrow or something, instead of leaving that paper out on your desk where it is in danger of getting buried or lost or something like that, you put it in tomorrow's tickler file, and then you get in the habit of each morning coming in and looking at what's in your tickler file for the day. And it not only gets rid of the clutter on your desk, but it also clears your mind, because you have the peace of mind of knowing that you'll be able to put your fingers on it when you need it. And then also it helps you spread out your workload, because you probably have this stack of papers on your desk of things that represent things that you need to do, but you can't do them all the same day, or you can't do them all at once. And so instead of shuffling through your desk, your desktop, all these random papers, and debating about what you need to do, and then the other ones are kind of screaming at you that you need to do them too, what you can do is put them in your tickler file, and you say, okay, I'm doing this today, I'm doing this one tomorrow, I can't get to this one until next week, so that's okay, I'll put it in next week's file or whatever. So it's taking that overwhelming pile of stuff and distributing it in a much more user-friendly way. So now Paper Tiger also has a reminder in it, but a lot of times if it's a particular paper that you're following up with somebody on, it's just very easy to drop it in your tickler file on the appropriate day. Paper Tiger has reminders for things too. So, you have a variety of tools, but I'd like for you to seriously consider having a tickler file set up in a drawer that is very easily accessible. So we have F for file, A for act, S for schedule, and T for toss, or trash if you like. And of course, getting rid of as much as you can, because remember, 80% of what we keep we never use. Now again, you can keep everything you want to. I'm not one of those people that says, oh no, you have to get rid of everything if you haven't used it this week or even this year. But because if you have the space for it and you have a way of finding it, you can keep it. Actually, I just went through my files, really a thorough purge about after 10 years. I know that sounds excessive. And I would go through, if there was some file I was using and I saw something in it that I was finished with, I would toss those out. Or if I saw a file that I didn't need anymore, I would get rid of that or move it to archives or something like that. But as far as just going through and looking at every file, I have not done that in over 10 years. But then my file drawers started getting really full, and I knew I needed to do that. Plus, I was just ready to take a fresh look at everything. And I'll show you how Paper Tiger can help you clean out your files more easily, and how it can help you move things to archives and other places easily too. Now, when you're sorting through these various piles, as I said, we're going to start with the ones that are on your desk or close by. You'll want to sort them into, you want to pull out anything that is a critical action, something that could come back and bite you if it isn't done. Something bad is going to happen if you don't handle it. So you want to keep that in a special pile. That would probably be your action pile or your high priority pile, whichever way you want to look at it. Keep that separate. It'll probably be a fairly small pile. It typically is. There's just a few things, but the anxiety of not knowing if you've got things in there, little time bombs that might go off. You want to pull those important things out and keep those separate. The other thing that you want to separate out is financial information. And that might be receipts, it might be tax forms, it might be, bills that you get or something like that. But the financial things in business and in life in general are very important. So you want to be sure and keep those separate. And those, I suggest, I'm not going to ask you to necessarily set those up immediately, but definitely keep them separate from your reference and other papers. But the IRS, and I speak from experience because my husband, who's a real estate broker, and I have been audited a couple of times because the IRS has been looking a lot at small businesses, and what they want to look at is particular categories. And my husband and I had done some, both for his business and for my business, traveling, to California and Florida and everything, and they for classes and seminars and conferences and that sort of thing. And we couldn't help if they were held in nice places. But the IRS wanted to see the actual, receipts for the conference and that sort of thing, because as the examiner said, well, how do we know you weren't visiting your aunt or just, on the beach or something? So they want to see that information, the receipts you have for paying for business expenses. But they want it by category. I had actually taken a financial management class for organizers that was given by a QuickBooks Pro advisor who was an organizer too, and she had us setting everything up. This was a number of years ago. She had us setting everything up monthly, which I really liked. I had binders and files for each month and put the statements in and the receipts in, and everything was great. But when that audit came, it was like, uh-oh, these things are scattered in various places. And so I had to go back and, I was able to find everything, but it wasn't very convenient. And so in talking to some other accountants since then, I found out, yes, you want to do everything by category, because that's the way that the IRS looks at things. So I just really want to emphasize that. So keep those financial records separate, and when you have a chance then, and it can be very simple, just drop them into, I have like a little portable desk file that I use. I have the categories set up on hanging files with little tabs, like for various accounts that I have, and books or courses and office supplies and website and professional organizations and travel and stuff like that. So then I just put a manila file, or I have those set up and I use them for the year. Then when the end of the year comes, or you can do it at the beginning of the year, either way, you just put a manila file with that, or you could just use manila files if you want to, and put travel 2012 or office supplies 2012. And then when the tax year is finished, you just put all those manila files together and you have all your tax information, whatever else you're going to do with it. So you do that each year. It really doesn't take up all that much space, but it is important to have them separated out. So getting back now to Paper Tiger. So you've got some background. So we're going to take a look at, here's your dashboard. Effective Day, that's my company, so I have that up here. So it creates a new database. Now, if you were using maybe you've been using a Paper Tiger user in the old software for a long time and you want to import the database, or maybe you have a database from Excel or something like that, here's where you would import an old database. But what we're going to do, and most users do, is just create a new database. Now see, I have one, and this is all within my master dashboard under my company, but I have my office, my husband, I have an upstairs office, he has a downstairs office, we have some lateral files for our home, I should say. And then subscriptions, that's by the way, that's another way you can use Paper Tiger just for keeping track of magazines. It's not, I'm not filing the magazines, but I like to remember, and you can see I'm into gardening and things. But it was like, when did I start that? They start sending you renewal notices like practically the month after you get your first issue. And I like to remember how many issues I got and when it started, so that I have a better feel for, you know, if I want to renew it, I don't have to do it yet. You know, I can wait or something. But that's just an example of how you can use Paper Tiger for other things other than just filing papers. And we'll talk more about that as we go along. And then here's Ohio Real Estate Company. I set that up the last time I did a webinar. I think I'll just do it over. I didn't think to eliminate it, to, what's the word, delete it. So this is what you will be doing when you start using Paper Tiger. And the database name, we'll say 2000, well, no, I don't say 2012. We'll just call it, I can't call it the same thing since I didn't eliminate that one, so I'll call it Hagan Real Estate, even though that's not, but this is just a demonstration anyway. So there, I've instantly created a new database. So there it is, Hagan Real Estate. So now, and this is what you would do with your company. You'll just put whatever your company name is in there, and as quickly as that, you have a new database set up. So this is going to be a collection of information that stays together, just like we look at the dashboard again. Nancy's office, you know, I have several locations there. I have Action, and actually I access the home files here too, and Reference. So none of that is going to get mixed in with any other database in here. So each one of these is a separate database. My husband's does not get mixed in with mine. You know, if I do a search on mine, it's not going to, you know, if I am looking for some marketing stuff or whatever, it's not going to show me anything that's in this database or the home database or anything else. It's just for this particular entity that you have created. So then, once you have created this new entity, then you want to make locations. And locations in Paper Tiger is just a group of files that you want to keep together. So we talked about the reference files. That is, say it's in the lateral file to right of door. You know, the idea is you put a description in so that if somebody else needs to look at it, or you look at it, you know, down the road, I would think you would know where your reference files are, but this is the general idea. You might not remember where you put your archive files or something, but anyway, the description is just so that if somebody else needed to find it or you didn't remember where it was, it would just tell you. So it's whatever words would make sense to you. And then reference, you usually want to have quite a few. So I would say 200 will plenty. You don't have to do that many. You might want to start with 100. In fact, maybe we should do that. And again, there's no certain amount that you have to do. Just look at your typical volume, how much space you have and everything. Review frequency, I would leave that alone unless there's something, maybe you're in a legal office or maybe you have insurance papers, you know, that are replaced every so often. Just if you have a particular need to review something, oh, here's another idea. Maybe if you have an operations manual or something like that, maybe that needs to be reviewed every 6 months or every year or something like that. So what I'm saying is I would keep it really simple and don't even use the review frequency unless you have a particular reason that you need to do that. So we're adding that location reference. Then we're going to add another location. We'll call that your action files, and that is, say, it's your, whoops. And Paper Tiger is not case sensitive, but I am, I guess. So that's, say, my bottom left drawer. And that, I usually keep just 20 items in there. But again, any amount you want. If you have a lot of projects going on or you have a lot of things, you know, Paper Tiger with the software used to come with up to 60 action items and 320 reference items. So you know, that was just, it's just to make sure people have plenty of space. It's not that you need to use all that or worry about it. Then again, you always want to have extra files set up because that's what makes the filing so easy, is it's already there. You know, you just have to drop it in. Again, we're going to skip the review frequency and we're adding action. So see how very quickly and easily these show up with the description, where it is, and the capacity. Now that says there are no items in there yet. Another thing we can do is books. And you might have the, you know, haste makes waste. The faster I try to go, the more I have to go back. Bookshelf in hall, for example. You know, and maybe there's 100 books there, I don't know. And you would just either put a little sticky label on there, number each one, or you could, you know, use a Sharpie pen or something like that. But you would use it the same way as you used Paper Tiger. So, oh, another great thing about Paper Tiger, because I was just thinking about how the books would be found. You would put in the name. Let's see. So we're going to put a new book in. Let's say Book Yourself Solid. That's Michael Port. A lot of people like using his system for building their business. Oh, I can't think of any other keywords right now. Marketing, etc. And then category, I'm going to skip. I mean, you could, if you wanted to have, you know, be able to pull up, say, all your financial books or all your marketing books or whatever category you're looking at, you could do that. But in a lot of cases, again, just to keep it simple, because I'll tell you, when I first started using Paper Tiger, I started putting in categories for everything, and it became as difficult as the old-fashioned way of filing, because I was always racking my brain. Oh, let's see, would it be better to put it in this category or that category? And then I realized that I really didn't need to do that, because the important thing is these words up here are your key words. So that's what you're going to search. So the category doesn't really matter unless you have, again, a particular need. Like I knew of somebody who had their financial and their business files. Let's see, was it their financial and their business file, and maybe some personal files, I don't know. But then they decided to move their business to another office, so if they put all the things in the category of business, then they were able to do a search on that category, and then it was easy to see which number of files they needed to pull out, which things they needed to pull out to move to the other office. So again, I rarely use it with a client, but it is there and it can be helpful just depending on the situation. Again, an action date, if you have something that is time sensitive to be reviewed, Paper Tiger will remind you of it, so you can put that again. But again, I rarely use that, because the main thing is you can search the words that you have put in. So we're going to add that to Books 1. So hopefully you get the idea of how easy it is to put other things in. Rather than adding some location, well, another way to use it is safe deposit box. Sometimes, so I will add a couple more locations. Let's see, I want to go back because I'm in the location of books right now. So I'm not going to add another book. I'm going to jump to another location. I'm going to go, no, I'm not. I'm going back to, let's see, I'm going back to the, where's my dashboard?
Locations box.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was looking for the, okay, yeah, because I want to add a location. Thank you. So I'm going to add one more location, safe deposit box. And then I'm going to say it is at, you know, First National Bank, Montgomery Road, at Route 48. And by the way, when you're putting words into Paper Tiger, You don't have to worry too much about the punctuation. You can separate words two ways, either with a space or a comma. So, you know, it's very easy to do. You don't have to worry about certain format. So I'm going to add that location. Oh, see, it reminded me that I have to put a capacity in. So I'll put 20 items. I don't think there's that many in the safe deposit box. But then in there, I could put in, you know, and again, see, I'm not going to actually put numbers on the things in my safe deposit box. This is just a reminder for me or somebody else who's looking. What did we put in the safe deposit box? You know, there's the passports, there's the birth certificates, there's the marriage license, there's the, you know, securities information or anything else that would be worthy of going in the, you know, some jewelry or something. So it's just a really good place to keep track so that you or somebody else knows what's in there. So, and then another favorite way that we'll add another location is seasonal. So, you know, you have things that you use maybe once a year, and these are going to be in the, you know, downstairs storage room. And we'll just, for the sake of argument, we'll say there'll be 10 items. So then in the seasonal box, you can, or in the seasonal location, you add something new. So this time of the year, patriotic things. And that might be, you know, things for Memorial Day or 4th of July. And so that might be flags. It might be napkins. It might be, you know, plates, decorations, you know, anything that you might have in there. Then another one might be, and I could have used, see, it gives you a couple different ways to do things. You can either add a new location by clicking up here, or if you go right along next to the number, the next open one, you can do it that way too. So let's see. I don't know why my name is in there. I don't think I typed my name in there. Let's see. It's remembering something that I've forgotten. So Thanksgiving. And, you know, I'll put in napkins and, you know, decorations and turkey things and, you know, whatever you have in there. So then that, but now these you would number the boxes. You would number 1, the patriotic box, number 2. So then when you do a search for Thanksgiving in Paper Tiger, it's going to tell you box number 2 has these things in it. Now I'm kind of, you know, oversimplifying things really, because you'd probably have a little more complex and specific list. Another one might be, you know, map of Hawaii, and you're putting that in the hall closet instead of a box or something. So anyway, what I'm trying to show you is that you can use Paper Tiger for things other than just the, you know, general papers in the office. You can use them for those things. You know, you might have certain keys that you forget where you put them. You know, they're small and you put them in a safe place, and where the heck did I put them? So it's just a really good place to take care of things like that. So let's see. And here's a thought too. What if you don't have what's the alternative to having an index as to where things are? And usually it's the knot in the stomach and a lot of time and anxiety because you're not sure where you put them and you're spending a lot of time looking for it. And that's one place that the gain an hour a day comes from. There have been a lot of studies done, I know in the Wall Street Journal and Fast Company magazine, and I've seen others, studies that have looked at how long people spend in the office looking for things. And typically, it's right around an hour a day. So you can easily save that hour a day. And then I have other ways that you can save a lot of time, too. So that's why I say you can gain an hour a day or more. But Paper Tiger is the alternative to anxiety and stress, which I greatly prefer. I was just going to show you here. See how I had a little typo? It's not a big deal. It's still an H, but I didn't mean to have a capital there. So I just went in to, I just hovered next to the number right here, and it said I could go in and edit it. So it's very easy if you make a mistake, or not even a mistake, you just want to change something, like maybe your whatever it is you were keeping in that slot, you've changed that to something else, you're getting rid of it. So let's talk about some of these features. If you want to get rid of the whole file, let's see, I'm going to check it and then see how it brought up some new options. And I could edit it. I could have come there to do it. And you can transfer it. Now, I think I'll go back to the reference, because that's a more likely place that you would, oh, I didn't realize I didn't put anything in there. Maybe I put some things in action. Oh, I guess I didn't put anything in. So I'll put a couple things in action. So say you were working on your taxes for last year. Maybe you got an extension. And so you're going to put that in action 1. And then you finish that. So you're going to check it. And you want to transfer it. But then I just remembered I didn't set that up yet. So since we're all just human, I think this is very good, because you can go back and you can do whatever you need to do from any spot. So I'm going to add a new location, and that is archive. So these are things that I, basement closet. So I'm going to say, and it wants an item, so I'll say 100 in there. I mean, it wants a capacity. Okay, so now we have archive. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the action file where I was, and these tax files, I finally got finished with them, so now I can transfer them. Now I have some choices. I can move it to a new location, which is what I'm going to do. I want to move it to the archive, or I could merge it. Sometimes you find a couple of files that are kind of similar, and you decide you want to merge it with another file that you already have, and then duplicate. And I had that situation once, and now I can't think of a good example, but there are times when you might want to just duplicate the information. Maybe in your archive file you want to have the same information. But anyway, the idea is we're going to move it, and we're going to move it to archives now. And no action date. Now, do we want to require confirmation? I'm going to say no. No thanks, I'll remember. So now Paper Tiger has taken that out of the action file. So you see it's no longer there. And I had better reach in that file right now and pull it out, my tax 2011, because there it is in my archive file. So I'm going to make sure that I put it in archive 1 so that I know where it is. Now, if you can also choose to have it confirm if you prefer. I usually just do it immediately while I'm there and pull it out. But again, the Paper Tiger is versatile. You can do it either way. It's totally customizable. So let's look at some of these other features. Reports. You can get, these are really helpful. You can get an item list report. So if your computer is down, or something happens that maybe the computer shut down for the night, and you come in the office and you don't really want to bother logging on and everything. If you have an item list report, you can, it's probably not going to do anything because I don't, okay, the few things that I have in there, it is pulling it up. So it's going to show me those things that are in there. Now you can do it several different ways. You can do it alphabetically. You can do it with, in fact, that's probably the best way to do it when you print it out, because then it makes it easier for you to find if it's alphabetical. And you can do it just for one location. Maybe you have a whole lot in reference and you want to print out reference and put that in the front of the drawer. It's especially a good idea to do that if you're just put a lot of things in too. But anyway, there's several different ways you can customize that. I don't think we should take time. We're getting to the latter part of the webinar at this point, and I want to show you some other things. But just the idea, you can sort it several different ways. And if you want to check on your action dates, you can do that. Transfer report, that's where you would check if you didn't have something that was confirmed, then it would remind you that you hadn't moved this file to wherever it was you were going to move it. And then the clean out report, which is really nice. You can clean out your files, you know, sitting in the backyard, out on the patio if you want to. Probably none of us would really want to do that, but some people, if they're on a plane or you just want to sit at your desk and not look at, you know, not go through the file drawer item by item, you can just look through the list and say, you know, do I need to review this? Do I need, you know, do I want to look at it, see if it's current and everything? Do I want to toss it? Do I want to transfer? So you can do the clean out report, and then you can either do it later or you can give it to an assistant if you're so fortunate. So it really makes it easy to see what's in your files. Even if you're not literally cleaning them out that day, it's a really good overview, and so you can print that out and everything. So then another thing you will likely need to do is to make labels for your file. So there's several ways to do that. One, you can print them and cut them out and stick them in the you know, the little plastic tabs that you get with the hanging files, or you can do them on an Avery file folder, file label sheet. The 8167 is, you know, any of these will work. 51s, I used to always wonder, what's the difference between the 5167 and the 8157? They look the same. Very fine difference. This one says for laser printers. This one says for inkjet printers. So I can't say I see a real difference in the spacing or anything, and if somebody knows, feel free to let me know, but that's the only difference I see. So anyway, you tell it, say I want to do 20 action files. And so I wanted to make 1 through 20, and I just tell it to generate those, and voila, there they are. And so you see how easy it is. It makes the files for you. You can also do that, or the tabs for you, and you can also do that with the, you know, item titles, or you can have it say, you know, reference 1, or you can have it say whatever the item is called. So again, there's a number of ways to do it. Let's see, was there anything else that I wanted to show you there? I think those are the main things. Now I want to take a few minutes and show you the digital tiger. So let's go back to the dashboard. And actually, I meant to come up with some better examples, and I'm not very good at racking my brain for examples, so sorry about that. But this will just give you an idea of how Paper Tiger works. So this is a regular Paper Tiger search, but see these results where it has a green line. Here I am with my hand trying to point to you, with this green line along the side. Whoops, I clicked on it. There we go. The green means those are digital files. Now that would be if they are in Google Docs. So Paper Tiger will search Google documents. And I have, you know, there are a lot of people who are using Google Docs more. It's a free service. You can go on and you can do PowerPoint, you can do Excel, you can do Word documents. And then when you save them, then Paper Tiger will find them. You know, you let them know. You have to let Paper Tiger talk to your documents. Very simple to set up, and then it will find. See, here's a presentation. These are Word docs. This is a Excel spreadsheet. So what I'm trying to show you here is that if it's outlined in green, that means it's finding it in digital documents, Google Docs. If it's in yellow, if it's in blue, here Paper Tiger tells you it's physical files. So, you know, it's looking in my Paper Tiger files that I filed physically, and then the green is looking in the digital files in the Google Docs. So that's a great feature that's just been added in the last couple of years, I think. And since we're using more and more things digitally, and a lot of people are going to, you know, scanning things on and everything, it's much easier to find things there. Let me just take a look at my notes. Oh, another thing that is helpful, getting back to the, I'm going to go back to our real estate company. If you had a section that you wanted to subdivide, and maybe this person is into, you know, MLS a lot, but they wanted to subdivide it, and oh gee, I must remember to prepare more examples in advance. Here's another, a better one that I can easily think of, and that is airline miles, frequent flyer miles and everything. So you might separate it into Delta, American, is United still around? I guess I can't remember. Southwest. So they might all be in that file, you know, your basic information that you get when you sign up and everything with your numbers on it. Excuse me. But you might want to have a manila file to subdivide that folder into 3 separate things. So when you go to your Paper Tiger folder, you'll be able to easily pull out your Delta file or your Southwest file, whatever you want to do. And then also when you take them out, if it's something that you frequently take out, a group of papers, you might want to have it in a manila file, and then it's just easy to keep them together and to return. Let's see, we haven't looked at the columns really yet. That's pretty basic. Column 1 is the item number. Column 2 is the item name. And then column 3 is the 3 keywords. Now, I will say, really, the item name and the keywords, any of those will come up when you do a Paper Tiger search. But the item name is what you're going to refer to it as if you sort, and I guess I should go to a location where I have more in. In fact, let me go out. Well, I see we're running low on time. But anyway, so I should have more than one thing in here to show you. If you click at the top of the item column, it will, well, yeah, even though I don't have things in. See how it starts with item 20? It's sorting it backwards now, and I can tell it to come back to sorting one, you know, sorting normally. Same thing with the airline, with the item name. It will, if I had more than one thing in there, it would sort it alphabetically by that. So I'm telling Paper Tiger, I want to see them in the order of the numbers of the files, which is how I usually do it. But sometimes if you want to find something alphabetically, then you just click on the item name and it will sort alphabetically for you. And then the keywords and the item name, any of those words will show up when you do your search. Janet, do you want to, are there any questions that I should save a couple minutes for?
No, actually, everybody's been pretty quiet today.
Okay.
I think you've kept them captive,
good.
bound. So.
Okay, very good.
Captivated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add, Janet, that I may have forgotten or skipped over or something?
No, I think that you covered the tickler file very well. I appreciate you covering the importance of categorizing your tax files. I don't think we've covered that in the past. So that
Okay.
and in fact, I usually categorize mine by monthly, like you were talking about how easy that is. But I think I'll look into categorizing those. And
Yeah. Good.
and you've covered how to organize things other than paper. I think it may be important to say that the item numbers in Paper Tiger should match your file number in your physical file store.
Right. Good point. Yeah.
Okay.
So see, I have in my action file, here's items 1 through 11 that you can see here on the screen. And so those correspond to the files that I have set up. And I never have to change those file numbers. If I move something to archives, for example, and this would be open, then I'm going to go to a different one. If I move something and I put it in a different place, then this would show up as an open, or maybe I throw it away or I move it to archive, then this would show up as an open, empty one. I never have to change the label again. I just put in, it shows up empty, and I put in the new information. And then again, I can sort it by the item like it already is, even backwards if I want to. But then here, if I click on item name, see, it sorts everything alphabetically. But then if I go back to item, it sorts it back by the number of the file. So.
In this database that you're in currently, do you have categories in that for your text?
I don't. I haven't found a need for the categories. I group them by locations. Okay. Unless you can give me some examples that might make me realize I need to do that. I have used it a few times. Like if somebody has maybe more than one business or something in their reference or something like that.
The reason I was asking is Marlene is asking, are there any other best practices to organize, as you mentioned, with the IRS categories? And what I understood you to say is like all of your travel receipts and that kind of thing should be in a travel category.
Exactly.
And all of the receipts that you have purchased, like going into professional organizations similar to National Association of Professional Organizers, those kind of expenses would go in a category of professional organizations.
Right.
All of your office supply receipts should be in an office supply category. So you would have folders for each of those categories.
Right. Yeah. Right. And so actually you could put that in a Paper Tiger location. As I said,
or a category.
Pardon?
Or a category.
Or a category, that's right. Yeah.
Right.
So, as I said, right now I just have a little desktop, actually under my desk file that I dropped those in. But yeah, you could either use that category or make a separate little location for the financial. So, yeah.
Okay, and there's another question that says, how do I get stuff in Digital Tiger? And let me just explain that just a little bit, if I could. Digital Tiger is the functionality in Paper Tiger Online that connects your Paper Tiger Online account to your Google Docs account. And of course, your Google Docs is with your Gmail or Google Apps account. So what happens is the digital file storage location is actually Google Docs, not Paper Tiger or Digital Tiger. The storage location, you're storing your actual digital files in Google Docs. So you would, like Nancy said, you can use Word or Excel or PowerPoint or Google Docs format equivalent to those Microsoft Office applications in Google Docs. And you can also upload your scanned documents to Google Docs format. And so when you do that and you connect your Paper Tiger Online account to Google Docs, then you can search within Paper Tiger for both your paper, physical, or other physical items and your digital files that you have in Google Docs format. So hopefully that answers that question, but I will be sure and reiterate that in the question and answer section of this blog post when we post this recording on our webinar category on our blog. Okay, Nancy, did you want to add anything else?
Oh, actually, yes. And I meant to stop and make this offer partway through, but I got so engrossed that I forgot. So on my website, the bottom left corner at effectiveday.com, there is a quick 2-minute productivity assessment that you can take. And then it also gives you the option, you can check a box if you would like to have a little strategy session with me. And then if you want to go further and you would like some productivity coaching, and this would help you work on Paper Tiger as well as other aspects of productivity, whatever it is that you most need and want, there is a page on my website, effectiveday.com, under services. That's productivity coaching. It's effectiveday.com/productivity-coaching. And there are 3 sessions that would be approximately 50 minutes, close to an hour each, and then unlimited brief email questions for $197. And also, if you do that today, on the day when you hear with the webinar, I will also give you access to my webinar series that I just completed a few weeks ago called Gain an Hour a Day. It's 4 webinars. I charged $67 for that, and I think I'm going to sell it for a little more on the website. I just wanted to get it up and running. But if you order today, I would be happy to give you access to that, which is 4 webinars and lots of the handouts and materials that you need for that. So I would love to be able to work with you more and help save you that hour and more a day. So thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Nancy, that's a great job. We appreciate all of your great tips and everything.
Good.
Okay,
You're
everyone,
welcome.
I know. Oh, thank you. Okay, everyone, I know that you've benefited from the helpful tips that Nancy has given today, so contact her to get on her schedule. If you're ready to get organized and have Nancy help you implement a system customized just for you, call or email her today. Now, listen, I have, please check your chat section right now and scroll through there because I've included Nancy's affiliate link in case you don't have Paper Tiger already, and I've included her contact information, which is her website address, and her email is nancy@effectiveday.com, and her phone number is 513-899-9949.